Well, it's a new year, and what better way to break in the new year than to stop your computer from spying on you? So that's what we're doing today. Stay tuned. Did you know that from the second you turn your computer on, big tech is spying on you? It's kind of creepy. I mean, when your neighbor does it with a pair of binoculars, you're probably going to call the cops, and no one would blame you either. So, why do we accept it when it comes from big tech? And what are they doing it in the first place? Well, the answer to that question is money. Believe it or not, your data is valuable. Advertisers purchase it so they can know the best way to advertise to you. Yeah, the government also purchases it, which is a whole nother level of creepiness. You may have heard people say that if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't be worried about it. Yeah, that might be true, but I still don't want law enforcement following me when I'm late for an appointment. And I definitely don't want them to have unfeathered access to my personal data.
I want to take you downtown, Reese.
Where you warrant at?
So either way, today I'm going to show you how to limit what they get. But first, I got to pay some bills. So check out today's sponsor. Is your copy of Windows 10 unactivated? Well, it doesn't have to be, because with today's sponsor, VIP SCD Key, you can get a valid Windows 10 license for under $20. Stop dealing with that stupid watermark on the desktop, the valid license for Windows 10. Also, with an activated copy of Windows 10, you can upgrade to Windows 11 for free. Just go to the link in the description below and pick up a valid Windows 10 license key. During checkout, use the code CYBERCPU for a 25% discount. Once you have your key, go to your activation settings in Windows 10 and click on the link that says Change Product Key. Enter the product key you just purchased and hit Activate. Now you don't have to deal with that stupid watermark that come with running an unactivated copy of Windows 10. Now, on with the video. So we all know that Windows spies on us. In fact, big tech probably knows more about you than your spouse knows about you. If you're not married, then just replace spouse with whoever your closest friend or relative is. The way they do this, though, is by watching pretty much everything you do on your computer. And if you carry a cell phone around, then you're pretty much carrying a tracking device in your pocket that has the ability to listen to you. Unfortunately, today, we're really only going to be concentrating on Windows. However, Windows is not the only vector in which big tech collects telemetry on you. In fact, you're watching this video on YouTube and probably in Chrome, considering that it's the most popular browser on the market. And, that's spying on you too. I typically get a lot of comments from people claiming that everyone should switch to Linux because Windows just spies on you. But then most of these same people are on YouTube with Chrome and Linux, which probably collects more data than Windows does, but I digress. But on a positive note, it was comments like that that gave me this video idea. So hopefully we can make Windows as private as Linux, at least close. Today, we're going to tighten up the Windows operating system so it can't get data from you. At least it can't get as much. So without wasting any more time, let's jump on the computer and I'll show you how to do it. So we're doing this on Windows 11, but Windows 11 collects just about as much telemetry as Windows 10. There's really not a big difference between the spying from Windows 10 and the spying from Windows 11. It's pretty close. So most of the settings that I'm going to show you how to change, you can do this in Windows 10 as well. But to start out with, we're going to jump into our settings here. So go ahead and open your settings. And the first place we want to go is into privacy and security right here. And then we want to go into general right here. And then for general, the first thing you want to do is just turn all 4 of these off right here. Let apps show me personalized ads using my advertising ID. Well, we're just going to get rid of that completely. Let websites show me logically relevant content by accessing my language list. Nah, that's none of their business. Let Windows improve start and search results by tracking app launches. How about no? And show me suggested content in the settings app. Absolutely not. I don't care. Don't bug me. So now that we've turned those off, we're going to jump back into privacy and security. And the next thing we're going to go into is right underneath general, which is going to be speech right here. And for speech, mine's already turned off, but I would recommend turning this off because why would we want Microsoft recording our speech? Yeah, probably not a great idea, but Then again, if you have Alexa or an Android phone, and Google and Amazon are already doing it anyway, so it really doesn't make much difference, but at least we can turn it off in Windows. So we're gonna jump back into privacy and security. The next one we're gonna go into is right underneath speech, which is inking and typing personalization. Go ahead and click on that, and right here where it says custom inking and typing dictionary, we're gonna go ahead and turn that off. Now the next one we wanna go into is back into privacy and security, and we wanna go into diagnostics and feedback. Now, once we come into here, you'll notice that you have required diagnostic data that you have to send. Well, I'm not really okay with that, but for what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead and turn off the optional data. Then the feedback frequency, which is down here at the bottom, it says automatically. We're gonna say, how about never? And then we're gonna go ahead and push this button right here under delete diagnostic data. Go ahead and hit delete, and it'll delete all of your diagnostic data on your system. However, this is not where we're gonna stay. We got one more setting that we have to do as well. So we're gonna go ahead and click on the start button. We're gonna type in regedit. Go ahead and open the registry editor here. And then once it opens, where we're gonna wanna go is we wanna go into local machine, then we're gonna wanna go into software. Then from software, we wanna go down to policies right here. And then from policies, we wanna go into Microsoft. And then we want to pick Windows. And then from Windows, we want to go down to where it says data collection. Now in data collection, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a DWORD name here. So you right click, go new, and we're going to want DWORD 32-bit value. And then you just want to simply type in allow telemetry and then go ahead and hit enter. And then from there, you want to open this up and then just change it to 0. It should be 0 by default, and then go ahead and hit OK. Now at this point, in order for this setting to take effect, you'll have to restart your computer. However, once you restart, this section right here where it says you are sending required diagnostic data will be disabled. So it'll disable all diagnostic and feedback. So instead of rebooting right now, we're just going to move on. We're going to go back into privacy and security. And then we want to go down to activity history. And then from activity history, we want to go ahead and disable both of these settings. Mine, the second one's send my activity history to Microsoft is already disabled. However, the store my activity history on this device, we're going to go ahead and turn that off, and we're going to clear history as well. And then the next point, we're going to go back into privacy and security. We're going to go into search permissions. And then from search permissions, we want to disable the Microsoft and work accounts right here. Honestly, you shouldn't be using a Microsoft account anyway. In fact, that should have been my first tip. If you don't want Windows spying on you, the first thing you should probably do is not use an online account on your computer, because I can't help you there, So I would turn your Microsoft account into a local account, and I would do that from the very beginning. And then once you scroll down here where it has history, I would turn off history right here and clear the device search history. And then we want to scroll down here to where it says more settings, where it says show search highlights. It says see context suggestions in the search box. Go ahead and disable that one too. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and jump back to privacy and security, and we're going to go down to our location right here. And at this point, we're going to talk about all of these different settings that we have down here, from location to camera to microphone, all of these right here. So we're going to jump into location first. Now, one thing you can do is for location services, you can just turn it off completely. But if you're using an app, like for instance, if you're getting the weather, because right now weather, well, I personally have it turned off, but you could turn on the location data for your weather if you want to have localized weather. But if you're not concerned about any of this stuff right here, what you could do is go through by a case-by-case basis and turn off all of these different permissions here, or you can just turn it off in general. And then if you go back to privacy and security, you can do the same thing for camera. You can go through and you can tell which games or which apps that you want to have access to the camera, or you can just turn it off. Now, I think some of the most important ones would be location, camera, and microphone. Now, for this one right here, when it comes to camera and microphone, I would highly recommend turning these off completely, especially if your privacy concerns you, because companies like Facebook and others have been known to listen to your microphone in order to get advertising suggestions. And to be honest with you, I don't want companies listening to me when I'm on my computer, so I'd rather just turn the permission off completely. But you may need to have the camera and microphone permissions turned on if you're using any kind of program like Skype or Teams or any kind of program where you need to have permissions for your camera and microphone. So keep that in mind as well. And when you go through this thing, you can actually come down and you can go into any of these different sections that you want, like voice activation, and you can turn that off as well. But for the most part, the most important ones to look at are location, camera, and microphone. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and close settings. And then the next setting that we're going to play with is going to be in the registry. And this is going to be disabling the search results when you click in your start menu right here, or when you click into search right here. How you got a lot of internet available information. Like for instance, if I was to search for regedit, which is something that we're going to need to run, you can actually search the web for regedit. Well, we want to use this just locally on our computer. We want to disable any kind of search history or search results from within the start menu. So we're going to go ahead and open up regedit right here. And then regedit should start at the last place that you were at. And since we were in the data collection key, then we're going to go ahead and jump back to the very beginning here. And we want to go to current user. And then from there, we want to go into software and then policies. And then from policies, we want to go into Microsoft and then into Windows. And then at this point, we need to create a new key called Explorer. And this one already has it created, so we can just go into it from this point. And from here, we're going to want to make a new DWORD 32-bit value, and we want to name that value Disable Search Box Suggestions. And then from there, we want to go ahead and open this up and change the setting to 1, and then go ahead and hit OK. And then at this point, we need to restart Explorer for it to actually take effect. So we're going to close regedit, we're going to right-click here, go into our Task Manager, and from Task Manager, you just want to find Explorer on the list here. So go ahead and scroll down until you find Explorer. And here we go. And we're going to just click on Restart Task. And let's try that again here. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we can close this. Now if we click on our search box, you'll notice that there's no more powered by Bing or anything like that. So if we search for regedit, we just get regedit. We don't get any internet search results at all. So I'm going to go ahead and for the next step, we need to go into our task scheduler. So go ahead and click the start button and search for Task Scheduler, and it's going to be right here. And notice, no internet results. Kind of nice, huh? Now we want to navigate into our Task Scheduler library, go into Microsoft, and then from here we want to go into Windows. And then what we're looking for is right here, Application Experience. And then also, if you come down here, we got the Customer Experience Improvement Program. These are the two folders that we're concerned with. Now, you could go through on these right here. You could open up each one, or rather, right-click on each one and just hit Disable. So you can go through the list, not export. You can go through the list and just disable them just like this. And sometimes you might not have permissions to disable them. So this is one of the problems that you can run into. So you can disable some, but not all. If you can't disable it, you could also right-click and just delete it. And by deleting it, that kind of disables it. And if you go into this one here, you can do the same thing. You can just right-click. You can either disable it or you can delete it. It's your call, whichever one you want to do. However, Microsoft may add these things back in at different times or re-enable them. So by deleting them, you can maybe hopefully not get them back. But, you know, you're probably going to end up getting them back. So this is something that you're probably going to want to keep an eye on after you run Windows Update occasionally, just to make sure that these things are gone for good. Now, the problem with these tasks is that there's a really good chance that when you run Windows Update, or especially when you do a build update, that these tasks are going to be put back into the task scheduler. So you're probably going to have to keep up on this and go back to it occasionally just to make sure that these tasks are actually disabled or deleted like you did in the first place. So keep an eye on them. Hopefully they'll stay gone, but chances are they probably won't. But that's all you can do. Okay, so the next point, we're going to go ahead and close Task Scheduler, and we're going to go into our services here. So go ahead and open the Start menu and just type in Services. And then from this point, we're going to go through, and the service that we're looking for is we're just going to go down until we see right here, Connected User Experience and Telemetry. And as you can see with mine, it's already disabled. So to disable this though, you can always open it up, and right here where it says Startup Type, it's probably going to be automatic on your system. And if it's set to automatic, I would just set it to disable, push the stop button, and then hit OK, and it should disable it. So At this point, all we've really done is change settings. I mean, we have done some registry mods in order to turn off certain features from within Windows. However, one of the downsides to doing this in order to protect your privacy on Windows is that it's not permanent. When you go to update Windows, and especially when you do build updates, a lot of these settings can be turned back on, and a lot of the little registry hacks that we did can be reverted. But there is one thing that we can do that is a lot more permanent, and that's modifying the host file to block all of Microsoft's servers. Because, you know, if they can't connect to your computer, it doesn't really matter what your computer collects because it can never get to them. So let me show you how to do it. Okay, so this one's gonna be really easy. All we gotta do is go ahead and open our browser, and we wanna go to GitHub. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below where you can find this list. But once you get to this page, you wanna go down to right here where it says Microsoft Windows, Office, and MSN. And we want to go to the link right here that has under hosts right here, because these are all going to be formatted a little bit differently. Like for instance, if you just click on domains, all you're going to see is a list of domains that we want to block. That's not going to be helpful for us. I mean, it would, but it'd be a lot more work. If you click on the line that says hosts right here, you'll notice that it's formatted differently. It actually has 000 in front of the domain. That'll make our job easier. So what we're going to do, you can go ahead and ignore all the stuff at the top right here. All we want is right here where the host names themselves start. So we're going to go ahead and click here, and we're going to highlight all of these different names right here. And once they're highlighted, right click and hit copy. And now that you're on your clipboard, we can move on to the next step. And that's going to be opening up Windows Explorer. And we want to go into our C drive. From there, we want to go into Windows. We want to go into System 32. From System 32, we want to scroll down until you see drivers, and then we want to go into etc. And then from here, we'll see a file called hosts. Now, you can't modify this file in its current location, unfortunately. But what you can do is you can grab it, drag it out, and drop it on your desktop. And then from there, go ahead and hit continue. And then you should have your host file sitting right here on your desktop. And when you double click on it, it's going to ask you how you want to open it. We're just going to open ours in Notepad. And then from here, as you can see, our host file is essentially empty. But if we go down to where it's blank down here, we right click and hit paste, all of those different hosts have shown up in our host file right here. And all we have to do is go on File, Save, and then go ahead and close this right here. And as you can see, our host file, now if we were to open it, you'll see that it has everything that we just did. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this host file and we're going to drag it back into our folder like where we took it before. Go ahead and hit continue, and it'll copy it over. Now, it's a little unfortunate that we have to copy it out and then copy it back, but if you don't do that, it won't allow you to save the document after you modify it. And at this point, you can go ahead and shut this down, and you can reboot your computer, and you should be pretty private at that point. One thing I want to add though to this right here, if you do modify your host file and you use Windows Security as your antivirus, you're going to notice something interesting. If you click on your virus and threat protection, you'll notice right here that it has a possible host file hijack. Well, what's happening here is that Microsoft, in a way to try to combat people from adding their own telemetry servers to the host file, they've actually started detecting it as a host file hijack. So they'll actually try to revert your host file back in order to be able to continue to spy on you. All you have to do is go ahead and click allow on device and just ignore it. So unfortunately, this is going to be a downside of using Windows Security, which is an antivirus that I actually recommend using, but it's kind of a shifty way that Microsoft's using it in order to prop up their own interests instead of the interests of the people that are actually using their software and don't want to be spied on. Now, there are some downsides to many of these settings we just changed. When it comes to privacy, there kind of is a balance between privacy and convenience. I mean, I wish there wasn't, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. For instance, I don't even know how I lived my life without Google Maps, but by using Google Maps, Google literally knows where I'm at 100% of the time. And don't for a second think that they're not selling that information to anyone willing to buy it. So a lot of the settings that we disabled are also tied to conveniences. For instance, we disabled personalized advertising. Well, we're still gonna see advertising. It just will be completely unrelated to anything we're interested in. Considering the fact that most of us completely ignore ads anyway, it doesn't really matter. However, you might like to see the weather, but if you want localized weather information, then you have to tell your computer where you are. That's private information that you're giving Microsoft for the convenience of them telling you if it's going to rain tomorrow. So, everybody has to make the decision for themselves how extreme they're going to go with their privacy settings. And you also have to do this while keeping in mind that even if you go to the most extreme measures possible, your computer is still spying on you. There's no way that you're going to completely eliminate data collection. The reason why is because data collection is literally how big tech makes its money. If it wasn't for data collection, there would be no Facebook. There would be no YouTube. Windows would still cost $100 for every new version instead of being a free upgrade. The reason why a lot of the internet is free is because you're the product. Remember, if you're not paying for the service, you are the service. The companies that are giving you these services for free are collecting your data and selling it. Everyone from advertising agencies to the government are purchasing this data. That's why it's important to be in charge of your own data, and you should limit the amount of data that's being collected if you can. Hopefully this video helped give big tech a little bit less of an avenue to spy on you. But with all that said, even services that you do pay for can sometimes treat customers badly. I talk about that in this video where I discuss whether or not piracy can be justified. While not advocating for piracy, I kind of get why people do it. As always, you guys have a great day.